How to adapt to married life in an empty nest family. 1. Discomfort caused by sudden changes in family structure and family relationships. In the past, the change of family relationships in empty nest families with many children was a gradual process. From the main family to the empty nest family, there would be a transitional stage from the first child leaving home to the last child leaving home. The change in family relationships in today's middle-aged empty nest families is a sudden change from nuclear families to empty nest families. Children who have lived at home for about 20 years leave home to study and work. Faced with such a sudden loss of spiritual sustenance, many middle-aged empty nest couples in cities cannot quickly adapt to the empty nest state. Due to lack of communication with children, negative emotions such as anxiety, pessimism, and depression are easily produced. If these negative emotions are strong or persist for a long time, they will become a kind of mental stimulation, which will have varying degrees of impact and harm to empty nest couples. In severe cases, they may even cause mental illness. In such an empty nest family, the dependence between husband and wife will be greatly enhanced. In many families, the relationship between husband and wife will gradually fade due to the departure of the children, who are the emotional bond between the couple. In addition, this simplified family structure lacks other forces from the outside world to regulate conflicts, so conflicts are more likely to intensify. The results of the survey 95 valid questionnaires showed that 57 people 60% felt relaxed when their children left home for study, work, marriage, etc. Their children had finally grown up, become independent, and could do what they like. 28 people 29% felt worried about their children's daily life and safety issues. 9 people 11% felt very relieved that their children had finally grown up and become independent.
2. Dividends still exist for middle-aged couples with the emergence of more and more 4-to-1 families. Middle-aged urban couples who are in an empty nest state generally have jobs to maintain their family life and have a relatively stable income. Middle-aged empty nest families are becoming in a living situation of old people at the top and young people at the bottom. Social and family responsibilities and financial and spiritual pressures. Middle-aged families have to have a certain amount of financial savings to deal with various situations that may occur. From age to generally speaking, middle-aged empty nest couples are still in the prime of life. Their body functions have not aged and their physical condition is also good, except for special unexpected circumstances. They basically do not need to ask their children to provide financial support and daily care. Because of this, middle-aged empty nest families will have a financial surplus, and many families will even use these financial savings to support their children's education, marriage, and raising grandchildren. In the past, children of traditional empty nest families generally became financially independent after leaving home and no longer relied on their parents. Moreover, because the structure of empty nest families with many children in the past was a tree structure, their pension burden increased. It's relatively easy. 3. Women's traditional positioning of their role as mothers. The anxiety and depression that women feel after their families become empty nests is related to how women view and deal with family relationships. Combining China's traditional concepts and actual conditions, it is not difficult to see that women whose life purpose is to be a good wife and mother are more likely to be troubled by the empty nest problem than men. In modern Chinese society, despite rapid social changes, society still generally views women in terms of traditional family roles. This view is reflected in all aspects of society, such as family education, work, and public opinion. Men are positioned in their careers and women are positioned in their families. Is still the main trend of society? It is undeniable that after entering modern society, the status of women has greatly improved. Many women have begun to enter the society, have their own jobs, have their own financial resources, and bear the main responsibility of the family just like men. Overhead. But this change is only reflected in women's careers and not much in their families. For thousands of years, China's values have positioned women in the role of good wives and mothers. As a woman, taking care of and raising children is considered a wife's duty. The inertial thinking of society requires mothers to fulfill the responsibility of a caregiver. In addition, from the perspective of women's role as mothers, a close attachment relationship between women and their children has existed from the beginning, especially in the early stages of raising children. When both husband and wife are struggling with their careers, the husband devotes more time to his career, while the wife spends her thoughts on raising children. It can be seen from this that the affection that mothers invest in their children and the things they do for their children exceed that of men to a certain extent. For middle-aged women, especially those with empty nest families, the test they have to endure is undoubtedly huge. What they experience is not only the transition from the family period to the empty nest period, but also the physiological transition from sexual maturity to sexual function decline. Women in this age group are undergoing transformations at the same time, and the conflicts generated will undoubtedly become more intense. Specifically, women who have experienced an empty nest family have generally reached the menopausal stage, when their physiology begins to transition from maturity to aging. Women at this stage not only have to endure physiological changes, but also have to face challenges from family, work, and society. There is pressure from all aspects, and in severe cases, people may suffer from menopausal depression because of this pressure. Menopause is actually just a very normal physiological process, and it will not have any impact on women's work and life. However, society has intentionally or unintentionally constructed traditional stereotypes about women's menopause. For example, menopausal women will experience normal physiological and psychological phenomena such as memory loss, irritability, and heart palpitations. However, this socially constructed stereotype will cause menopausal women to have various psychological pressures on their expectations. This increases the physical and psychological burden on oneself. This social construction of menopausal women, on the one hand, makes menopausal women have to face many physiological changes. On the other hand, it also makes women face the negative emotions caused by it, deepening their psychological aging. Mental aging speeds up.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.